Alright, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another edition of Commander Deck Tech with a randomonium side to it. So first I want to start off by thanking Treacherous Fox for the follow this morning. I saw that. I appreciate the follow. It means a lot knowing that you like the content, so we're going to keep on going with it. So again, Treacherous Fox, you rock, man. Appreciate it. And yeah, so let's jump in to it. Again, if you like the content, hit that follow button. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit subscribe. You can go ahead and watch the rest of our deck techs that we did. We did two before, one on Griswold the Dreadsower, and then last week we did Zakama Primal Calamity, so you can go ahead and check those out too. And yeah, appreciate all the everyone who's following. I appreciate it so much, and let's jump into it. So this week, we are playing Mono Blue, which I have never built a Mono Blue deck before. So this was definitely a challenge for me. Yeah, so let's jump into the commanders. So the one that we got was Siani, Eye of the Storm. It's a new commander from Commander Legends, so this is pretty cool that we get to actually build a Commander Legends type of deck off of these commanders. So Siani is 3 colorless and a blue for legendary creature Jin Monk. She has flying, and whenever Siani Eye of the Storm attacks, scry X, where X is the number of attacking creatures with flying. So if you ever want to see a scry tribal deck, this is pretty much a scry tribal deck. You'll notice that a lot of our creatures also have flying, because her ability only triggers off of creatures that attack that have flying. So those are the two things with Siani is you want a lot of creatures attacking with flying and then getting value off of scrying. So our other, because she has partner, we were able to partner it with, and let's see if I can say its name, Eligeth, Crossroads Augur. 4 colorless, 2 blue for legendary creature Sphinx. Has flying, of course, because of Siani's ability. If you would scry a number of cards, draw that many cards instead. And it's a 5/6. So pairs really well with Siani. Basically what I did is I built this deck around Siani, and then I said, are there any partner commanders in this deck? And then I just took Eligeth and was like, you know what, you both have partner. You guys are going to be the partners of the deck. So the deck was built around Siani, but Eligeth is really good. Has partner, so why not? Let's partner it with Siani. So, and they work out really well, because if I would scry with Siani, now I get to draw those cards instead. So if you're wondering what this deck is going to be doing, we're going to be drawing a lot of cards. So yeah, so that's basically what the deck wants to do. It wants to draw a lot of cards, and that's what we're going to be doing. So going over some stats of the deck, you'll notice we have 18 artifacts over here. That's because most, if not all, of our ramp is based on artifacts. Mono Blue, really hard to put lands into play. We have Wayfarer's Bauble down here. That's one way of doing it. Other than that, I mean, Treasure Map can flip over to be a land, so that's cool. Otherwise, you know, we got our Thought Vessel, Soul Ring, Sky Diamond. Nyx Lotus is really good in this deck. When playtesting it, and I've had Nyx Lotus out, on turn 6 I can get to like 16 blue mana with this thing, so Nyx Lotus does a lot of work in this deck. Mind Stone, Midnight Clock, just because it helps us draw cards, and then it can also shuffle our graveyard back into our deck. So if for some reason we're drawing a lot of cards and have to discard, and our deck's getting really low, and we haven't met one of our win conditions yet or something, then Midnight Clock can help us shuffle it back in. Heraldic Banner, just because we have all blue flyers, so why not pump them up? And it also ramps us. So, and then we got Felwar Stone, good 2 mana, pump us up, and then Arcane Signet, of course. You don't really need an Arcane Signet because it's add 1 mana of any color in your commander's color identity, but it's a 2 mana ramp. Why not? I'm not even really going to go over the card draw, just because basically all of our cards draw stuff. So, I mean, I'll go into a little bit of it. And then, of course, we have removal. I think we have like 11 or 12 things of removal. Of course, with blue, again, I'm just playing with cards that I own, so I'm not going to go out and buy a bunch of cards. So, like, I really would have liked to put, like, a Pongify, and I forget what the other one that's, like, really similar to Pongify in this deck. The only thing I think I have that's actual removal that's not a, like, a counter spell is, like, Reality Shift, which exiles a target creature. I got Perilous Voyage in here just because it could potentially draw us a couple cards, and it is return a target non-land permanent to its owner's hand. So if somebody like pays all their mana to drop something on the board for 2 mana, you just bounce it back to their hand. It's like they wasted their turn, so why not? Those are, I think, are the 2 spells in here that are not counter. Other than that, I think everything else is a counter spell. Brazen Borrower does the same thing that Perilous Voyage does for the same mana cost, so... And it's a 3/1 flyer, so I just put it in here. Pretty good. For board wipes, blue, again, really isn't great on board wipes. Cyclonic Rift is in here as a board wipe. Again, board wipes usually want to destroy things, but mono blue, not really good at destroying a lot. Most of its return stuff to its owner's hands. I thought about putting... the Nevin Moral's Disc in here, but again, we have 18 artifacts, 9 enchantments. We don't have ways to recur things from the graveyard, so I don't really want to be blowing up all of our artifacts and enchantments without a way of getting them back. So decided not to go that route for board wipe. So we have Cyclonic Rift, which will bounce all of our opponent's stuff back to their hand. Devastation Tide, return on non-land permanents to their owner's hands. A lot of our stuff like enchantments, artifacts, especially artifacts, a lot of our ramp and stuff is all low cost, so we're not really going to be hurting too much if we bounce all of our non-land permanents to our hand, because then we can just easily play them out again, and then we'll play out all of our ramp and then play out all of our spells, so we can catch back up a lot faster, bouncing everything to our hand. And then I threw River's Rebuke in here just in case somebody starts going off. It's basically going to do what a Cyclonic Rift does, except it just targets one player. So, if somebody's going off, we just set them really far back. And those are like basically our 3 kind of board wipes, or at least mass board control type stuff. So, again, what our deck wants to do is just draw a lot of cards. So, when I've play tested this deck, we can win pretty early on if we have the right pieces. Our 2 basic win conditions of this deck, which is hilarious because I've complained in other videos about like CEDH decks that basically draw their whole deck and then play Thassa's Oracle. Well, guess what? That's basically what we're doing in this deck, is we're going to draw our whole deck, play Thassa's Oracle, and win the game. Sorry, that's basically what the win condition is. Luckily, we have stuff like a Thought Vessel, where we won't have to discard our hand because we have no maximum hand size. In the lands, we do have a Reliquary Tower, so we have no maximum hand size. So Thassa's Oracle, let's go over that. So it's a 2 blue creature Merfolk Wizard. When Thassa's Oracle enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. We're going to have a lot of devotion on the board because every card in our deck is blue. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library and the rest on the bottom of your library in random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. So, basically, you draw our whole deck, play Thassa's Oracle. It already has 2 blue in its mana cost, so if we have no cards in our deck, we win the game. Which is not going to be very hard in this deck. Our other win condition, though, is Psychosis Crawler. So it is a artifact creature horror for 5 colorless mana. Psychosis Crawler's power and toughness are each equal to the number of cards in your hand. Whenever you draw a card, each opponent loses 1 life. So again, if we get this out pretty early, and then we go into our turns where we're drawing like 20, 30, 40 cards in a turn, which we can do, everybody just loses the game. So we, again, Thassa's Oracle, we might not have to win that way. We can just play Psychosis Crawler, draw 40 cards, and then boom, game's over. So those are our basic 2 win conditions. Our other win condition, we have a lot of flyers. We have a lot of ways of getting flyers. Stolen by the Fae. Return target creature with converted mana cost X to its owner's hand. Create X 1/1 blue fairy creature tokens. So we want to create a lot of flying tokens, so there was that one. Notorious Throng. We're not really playing the... Come on. We're not really playing the rogue theme in this, but we still get its first little ability here, which is create X 1/1 black fairy rogue creature tokens with flying, where X is the damage dealt to your opponents this turn. So if we're doing damage in the air, say we even do 12 damage in the air, that gives us 12 1/1 flyers. Which again, if we have 12 1/1 flyers and we attack next turn, Siani is going to see, hey, there's 12 1/1 flyers attacking, so we're going to scry 12, but if we have our other commander out, we're going to draw 12 instead. So again, it's going to be really good if we can get a lot of flyers on the board. And yeah, so that's basically the deck. Drawing a lot of cards. We're just going to keep drawing a lot of cards. We're going to play our counters to make sure nobody's really affecting our board. Play our little board wipes if need be. Devastation Tide, Cyclonic Rift. And yeah. We do have some things in here that are going to give us a lot of value based off of how our deck kind of runs. So I threw a Thopter Spy Network in here because we have 18 artifacts. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control an artifact, which we have 18 of them, 19 if you count Psychosis Crawler, create a 1/1 colorless Thopter artifact creature token with flying. So the flying is the key thing there, is because it's creating a creature with flying. Whenever one or more artifact creatures you control do combat damage to a player, draw a card. So basically, this card's doing everything we want to do. Create flyers, drawing cards. Teferi's Ageless Insight, as well as Alhammar's Archive. Whenever we draw a card, we're drawing 2 cards instead. Shark Typhoon. At first, I was like, oh, this is going to give us a lot of value because we're playing a lot of non-creature spells as well. But then I remembered, oh wait, those sharks have flying. So again, this card's going to do a lot of work too. Because even if we were just like casting Shark Typhoon, casting a Soul Ring, well, guess what? That's a 1/1 flying shark. Again, we want flyers, so still a lot of value off that. Ominous Seas is really good because we're going to be drawing a lot of cards, and then we can remove the counters based off of those cards to make 8/8s. And yeah, so pretty good. Favorable Winds is just a good tribal with flying card. I will highlight some of my favorite cards that I've seen in this deck so far as I've been playtesting it. My #1 favorite card by far is Sphinx of the Second Sun. I didn't even really know about this card until building the deck, and now I'm just like, this card is super busted. So Sphinx of the Second Sun, 6 colorless, 2 blue, for a 6/6 creature Sphinx. Has flying, so that's good. At the beginning of your post-combat main phase, you get an additional beginning phase after this phase. And the beginning phase includes the untap, upkeep, and draw steps. So a lot of value with this card. So you go to your post-combat main phase, do your post-combat main phase, and then before you go to your end step, you're going to have another beginning phase, which basically means before you go to your end step, you're going to untap, upkeep, and then draw. Which upkeep, we do have a lot of upkeep triggers. So we have, where's my creatures? We have Thassa, God of the Sea. At the beginning of your upkeep, scry 1. If we have our commander out, draw 1. We have another, which I think is, where are you? Geist of the Archives is the same thing. At the beginning of upkeep, scry 1. So we got a lot of good upkeep stuff. Thopter Spy Network, which I said before, is an upkeep trigger. And then we're also drawing a card. So cards like Teferi's Ageless Insight that says if you would draw a card, except the first one you draw, in each of your draw steps. Okay, so I guess that counts as 2 draw steps. Let's see if Alhammar's Archive says the same thing. First one in each of your draw steps. Okay, yeah, so you'll still only draw the 1 card, but still, we're drawing cards. Yeah, so Sphinx of the Second Sun, I think, is just super good. I don't know why I didn't think of this card before, or like really reflect on this card, but it's really good being able to give you an additional untap, upkeep, and draw. So for anyone out there that has decks that care about upkeep or draw steps or whatever, I would include this card. Yeah, it's 8 mana, but I mean, there aren't very many cards that give you additional upkeeps and stuff. So this card can do some work. And yeah, that's basically the deck. So again, I'm sure that there are other cards that I would really like to put in this deck. Again, I've never actually made a mono blue deck before, so this was definitely really challenging trying to figure out where I wanted it to go. The basis is create a lot of flyers, draw a lot of cards, and use our win conditions of either hitting everybody with a bunch of flyers, destroying everybody's life total with Psychosis Crawler, or mill ourselves out and play Thassa's Oracle. I will go over one other card that I just remembered, just in case we don't hit our like Thassa's Oracle, or somebody like counters it and we can't counter back in response or whatever, and we just milled ourselves out. This guy from Jumpstart, it's funny, I only got 2 Jumpstart packs and this was in one of them. So we got Ormos Archive Keeper. He's a 6 mana, 4 colorless, 2 blue for a 5/5 flying Sphinx. If you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, instead put 5 +1/+1 counters on Ormos Archive Keeper. Then you can pay a colorless and 2 blue, discard 3 cards with different names, and draw 5 cards. So the key with this card is it says, if you would draw a card while your library has no cards in it, instead put 5 +1/+1 counters on Ormos Archive Keeper. So as long as this card's out and you have no cards in your library, instead of drawing and killing yourself, you'll put 5 +1/+1 counters on Ormos. So this could potentially save us in games when we're like, I'm going to go play Thassa's Oracle. Somebody counters it. We don't have a counter spell in response, which is going to be kind of hard for me to imagine that when we have probably like 40 or 50 cards in our hand. But just in case we mill ourselves out, we haven't won yet, we can at least have this card on the field to keep us from at least losing the game. Plus its ability of discarding 3 cards of different names to draw 5 cards. Again, if we have Teferi's Aegis Insight, we're basically discarding 3 cards, drawing 10. So, really good. Some cards I thought were pretty good as well. Just anything that gives us scry ability. So like Opt becomes a 1 mana, draw 2. And then there's a sorcery in here, like Preordain, 1 mana, draw 3. Pretty good. So, yeah. So I'll end it there. That's basically the deck. Draw a lot of cards. So hopefully that's what we're going to be doing next Wednesday. So if you haven't seen the Commander Randomonium episodes, there are 2 of them up. I broke the last one up into 2 different videos, as well as a special video as well, where we didn't play Zakama last week in one of the videos, so you can check that out. And then the Griswold was the week before. And then, yeah, so every Wednesday night we're going to be playing, and this is the deck we're going to be playing with, and we'll see how it does. We're either going to go off and draw a lot of cards and use our win conditions to win, or we're going to go off, draw a lot of cards, and hopefully hit everybody with flyers. So that is the deck. I will be posting the link to this deck if you want to check it out in the notes, the description of the episode, as well as YouTube. You can just hit the description. It should be in there, so you can check it out as well. So that is the deck. Appreciate any comments you guys would have, things that you would add into the deck. Again, like I said, these are just cards that I own. I'm not going to go out and buy a bunch of cards for these episodes. Just don't have the budget for that. So I'm curious to see what else you guys would have done with the direction of this deck. Other cards you would have added, just put them in the comments. I'm very curious to see what you guys think. So yeah. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. Again, watch us on Wednesday, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.